Alright, so we have some angles to talk about here. This one's not too bad here. We notice that we have a 90-degree mark right here. That's what that little box is. 37 degrees for the x. So basically, if we want to find out what the question mark is here, we'll take just 90 degrees. That makes up the whole angle. And we'll take and subtract away the 37 degrees. And that's a 7. And that's a degree mark. And I'll make that a better 7. Okay, and then we're going to get at 53 degrees. Okay, not too difficult. Here's another one, basically the same idea. They're saying that x is 34 degrees. So what we want to do is set up an equation here because we know so here we have it. 180 minus 34 is 146. Let's move on to the next. Okay, so if we're looking for the complement, all you need to know is that the complement of two angles is going to be whatever they take to add up to be one complement is 90. So remember, complement here, that's the 90-degree one, and then supplement is 180. And it looks like our angle is 60.2. So we just have two things to do. First, we'll do 90 minus 60.2. We'll see what that is, and then we'll do 180 minus 60.2, and then whatever that is, that's going to be our answers. Okay, so here we have the answers. For the complement, the one that adds up to be 90, it's 29.8. And for the supplement, the one that adds up to be 180, that's 119.8. Let's try another one. Okay, so here we have two parallel lines, and we have a transversal, and we want to find the measure of each one of these other 7 angles. Notice here that 1 and x, if x is 114, and then we have, basically a linear pair here, or in other words, 180 degrees to get to angle 1. So for angle 1 here, that's angle number 1, we have 180 subtract 114, which is 66 degrees. Let me write that here, 66. Okay, so we know now that for number 1 we have 66 degrees. All right, so number 2, if you look at number 2, it's directly across from number 1, so it's a vertical angle, and therefore it is also 66. Easy enough, right? Straight across from there. And then from here we can use that 2 and 3, or the fact that 3 is across from x right there. We also know now that 3 is the same as x, so for number 3, we're going to get 114 because it's the same thing as x because it's directly across from it. Now 4 is corresponding to x, so for problem number 4, we also have 114. And then 5 is going to be a linear pair just like 1, not to mention it's the same place as 1, so 5 and 1 are really the same angle, so we have that already, 66. 1 and 6, or 5 and 6, are directly across from each other, so 6 is also 66. And then, of course, 7 correlates to 3, or 7 is opposite 4. Either way, they're both 114, so we know that 7 is also 114. So really, there's only 2 angles here, as you can see, and once you know one, you know the other. Yeah, we have another one to look at here. We have 2 parallel lines, a transversal, and maybe a triangle or 2 in there. Let's talk about what's happening here. We want to find the measures of angle 1 and 2. Well, we know here that since this is 90 up here, this would be 90 down here. What do we know, though? We actually know that x is 42. So if we put this right here, I'll just write 42 right there, see if we can get in there. That's 42. Well, then x and 1 are actually the same thing. We already know 1 is equal to 42. Okay, and you can see 1 and 2 are complementary because if that's 90, this is 90, and that means this is 90 if the lines are parallel. So when we have to find 2, a 2 is going to be 90 minus 42. Okay, which is 48. Okay, and finally, for number 3 down there, notice that 1 and 3 are on a straight line. So to find 3, we would just take 180 and subtract the 42. And what we're going to get there is 138. Not too bad. Okay, here we have a couple of different things happening. Let's be careful of what we have here. We know that the measure of angle 4 right there, this one right up in there, that one right there, I'll point to it, is 23. So if that's parallel, these two parallel, and then 4 is 23 degrees, let's see. Looking at this question here, what I see is that 67 and 2 have to be the same because they're vertical angles, and 2 and 4. So 4 has to be 67, but here it says it's 23. So this is definitely false. I'll go false on this one for sure, just because it can't be. Okay. All right, here is the exact same thing as the last one. This time, though, I think we can see 51 and 2 are the same, 2 and 4, so 2 and 4 are the same. And it does say 51, so in this case, unlike last time, this time it's true. Okay. All right, taking a look at this next example, we have a triangle, and we now know that the three angles of a triangle have to add up to be 180. So to find out this missing angle, we just take 180 and we subtract 49, and we then subtract, what is that, 38? And whatever that answer is, that's going to be whatever angle A is. So that makes 93 degrees. Okay. We continue using the idea that the three angles added to be 180 here. We're going to take 180 because we have the three angles of a triangle. We'll take the 180. We'll subtract the 90 for the 90 degree, and then we'll subtract the 58. And then whatever's left over, that's what we're going to have as our answer. So we're looking at 32 degrees right here. That's our answer. Okay, there's your answer. Okay, they want us to find the measures of angles 1 through 5. Well, let's see what we know here. We know 38 and 90, so a measure of angle 1, for number 1, we'll just take the 180, subtract the 90, and subtract the 38. And we'll see what that one is. Okay, so 1 turns out to be 52. So we also can see here, just by looking at it, that 1 and 3 are the same. So we already know, jumping ahead a little bit here, that 3 is also 52. And we know that 3 and 2 make an entire line. So number 2 will be 180 minus 52, which is 128, I think. Okay. And then number 4 is going to be the same as number 2, so it's also 128. We have 3 is 52, and we have that is 32, so number 5 will be equal to 180 minus 52 minus 32. It does say 32 right there. Or does that say 82? That looks like 82. I'm sorry. Let me fix that right here. I couldn't quite read that quite right. This is an 82. Okay, so we'll figure out what that is. And that'll be the answer for number 5. Okay, so we have that now as 46. All right, here we have an isosceles triangle with equal lengths on each side there, and that's what those little hash marks here mean. When you see those little hash marks, they mean they're the same size. So what we can do is we can take a look at 145 and 4 have to be the same. And we know that 1 and 145 are going to be supplementary. So in other words, they'll add up to be 180. So 1 must be 35. So I'll do that. I'll come over here and write this. So we have angle 1 is 35 degrees. And then angle 2 is going to be the same because it's the base angle of an isosceles, so it's also 35. And then number 3 has to add up to be 180, so we'll take 3 will be equal to 180 minus 35 minus the other 35 for the two bottom angles, which is going to be 110, so that's what 3 is. It doesn't look like it's to scale, I understand, but it is what it is. So we have 1 is 35, this is 35, which makes 70 basically at the bottom. 180 minus 70 is 10, so 4 we already know is 145. What about angle 5 up there? Angle 5 is the same as 4, so 145. That's how you do that. All right, taking a look at this one here, we're going to explain why the two triangles are similar. And you can see that matching up here, we would have, well, 15 goes to 56. Sorry, I said that wrong. 15 goes to 45 as 12 goes to 36. So what we can say there is that basically we can see that well, first of all, we need to figure out what x is here because that's going to make a big difference. We can do x by using the Pythagorean theorem. So let's find out what x is first. So we can do x squared plus 12 squared, has to equal to 15 squared. So we have x squared plus 144 is equal to 225. That's 15 squared. Then we're going to subtract 144 from both sides to get that x squared is equal to 81. That's the difference here. 225 minus 1, that's a minus sign, minus 144. So x is equal to 9. And I'll put a 9 right over here where the x is. And notice that 3 times 9 is 27, 3 times 12 is 36, and 3 times 15 is 45. In other words, if you take 15 over 45, or 12 over 36, or 27 over 9, each time here, I said that wrong, that's going to be 9 over 27. Let me back that up. Right here I meant to say 9 over 27. All of these are equal to 1/3. Since they're the same ratio right there, then these two triangles are similar. Okay, so choose the reason that the triangles are similar. Both triangles contain right angles. That's not it. Both triangles are right and scalene. All right triangles are similar. No, the Pythagorean theorem states that thus the corresponding sides are proportional. I think you can see that's exactly what I just did right there. This is what it means to be proportional over here. Okay, so we want to find the length of a side of a triangle here, C to A. That's this one right here. Notice this is 2. This is 2. Let's see what we can figure out from here. If this whole thing is 6. Alright, so we have 2 is to 4. So 2 goes to 4. 2 is to 4. In other words, 2 is to 4 as, well, we're going to put an x right here. Actually, we could figure that out using the Pythagorean theorem because, nope, that's not a right triangle. We can't do that. I'm sorry. So we have 2 is to 4 as, well, let's see, x is to 6. Okay, so remember, this 2 to this 4 is the same as this line is to the whole line. Sorry, that's not so straight. But so we have 2 is to 4 as x, the thing we want to know, is to 6. And then we can just solve this by cross multiplying. We get 12 is equal to 4x. Just cross multiply 2 times 6, and then so therefore x is equal to 3. Or we can actually say the length of CA is equal to 3. There's no x in the problem. I used x myself. Okay, so we're trying to determine which one of these postulates to use to determine the triangles are congruent. Here you can see that we have 2 sides and 2 sides, so it's definitely not this one, right? Because that's 2 angles, so we'll cross that one off. But it's either side angle side or side side side. Notice we don't have any information about the sides here, but these 2 angles are actually vertical, so we do indeed have this one right here. The answer is side angle side. Alright, so what we have here is to determine which one we're going to use again. Here, this side is congruent to itself. We have this side in the middle here as part of both triangles, so it's definitely side, side, side. So we're going to come down here and we're going to click side, side, side. Alright, if we take a look at this flagpole here, we have a flagpole. I guess I'll try to draw one, don't laugh. Okay. So here's our flagpole. There's my flag. It's not very nice, I know. It looks kind of weird, but there's my flag blowing in the wind. All right, cool. It says that the flagpole has a height of 49 yards. That's an awfully high flagpole, by the way, 49 yards, but that's fine. It will be supported by 3 cables, each which is attached to the flagpole at a point 4 yards below the top. All right, so this will be our point, and then we have cables coming down like this. They should be straight. I'm sorry, it's just hard to draw a straight line with this pen. I can probably do better than that. Let's see what I can do here. Okay, so I got little straighter lines there. Each of which is attached 4 yards below. So if this is 49, then this is attached. Let me see if I can mark that. So this is going to be attached right here. Let me draw a line to that. That is going to be attached at 45 feet, because notice it says right here that it says 4 yards below the top of the pole, and attached to the ground a point that is 24 yards away. So this is 24 down here. Okay. Find the total number of yards of cable that will be required. Okay, well basically we know this height here is 45, and this is 24. This should be a right angle, supposing that the flag is standing straight up. So we do this squared plus this squared equals this squared, or we find the equation 24 squared plus 45 squared is equal to, you want to call this x, we got to call it something, is equal to x squared. Okay, then we just do a little bit of math. Okay, so you can see here that we just 24 squared is 576, 45 squared is 25. Add those together at 2601. Turns out that the square root of 2601 is 51. So the answer to the question right there is 51 feet of cable. That's what we'll need. Okay, that should be enough to get you started for the homework. Good luck.